opening remarks about you're finally getting some depth with this team. Two players I remember last year, Taylor Rupert and Carly Young, played well at times for you. Are you going to try and interchange a lot? Are you going to do a lot of multiple substitutions, or are you just going to see how everything comes around?
Well, practices have been so competitive. To be honest, if we had a game tomorrow, I couldn't really tell you who her starting five is going to be. And like I told our kids, it really is not important who starts. It's important that everybody contributes. And if we're going to play the style of game that we want to play, I'm not quite sure that they can go out and go hard for 4 minutes. I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of substitution. I think you're going to see a lot of kids playing. You get kids in foul trouble, you have injuries, so depth for us is just absolutely huge. You talked about, Taylor Rupert, one of the best three-point shooters last year in our conference. I think at the end she ended as the number 2 best in our conference. Carly Young, a phenomenal shooter. And then 2 young ladies that have really, I think, worked their tail off this summer is Hannah Luberg, who, unfortunately didn't get as much playing time as she would have liked just because, she's playing behind Kara Murphy. But I think she learned a lot, and I think she was very motivated because I think in her eyes she probably felt like she deserved to play more. And I'm not disagreeing with her. Maybe she was right. But I know that was a big motivation for her, not used to being sitting on the bench in high school when you're, the star of your team. Senna King did some great jobs for us when we played at OU. She had more people from Waterford at that game than OU had, and she was phenomenal when we got in foul trouble. And then the one person that we haven't really talked about very much in 3 years that has probably had the best preseason of anybody is Taisha Stubbs. She's one of the strongest kids in our team. She's a little bit healthier this year. She's in better shape this year. She's probably in the best shape that she's ever been. She can play multiple positions. She can play 5. She can play a 4. She can defend a 3. So we have a lot of luxury this year that we can do different lineups. I'd like to see Taisha and Rachel in together at the same time. I think that would be very hard for teams to stop those 2 on the court. So I think we have a lot of different lineups that we can have, and it'll be very exciting to see when we open up, because I really, honestly, I have no idea. You got 3 point guards right now vying for 2 positions because it's hard to play 3, but every day they're battling, every day. And that's why I'm so proud of these kids. Our practices are shorter. I feel like in the past we would go too long, and I think mentally they were drained. And I think now we go 2 hours really hard, and physically they're drained. When our practices are done for 2 hours, they are exhausted. But that's because they're buying into the system of every drill we do has a purpose, and they're going hard in everything we do. And that started in preseason. And again, I couldn't be more prouder of our kids because we've asked a lot, we've demanded a lot. But for us to win a championship, this is what they need to do.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Bill Morgan with the Akron IMG Radio Network.
Coach, when you came out to the coaches show a couple of weeks back, I wasn't sure if I was talking to Jodi Kest or Tony Robbins, but this is the most positive I've seen you in a number of years. Specifically, like position-wise, in comparison to last year, you've already talked about you feel this is the most positive and the biggest positive step direction you've seen the team going. What are the biggest improvements you think the fans and the media are going to see from your team this year as opposed to last year specifically?
Well, I think they have a lot of confidence right now. They believe that they can step on the court and play with anybody. I think the offense is definitely going to be much better. I think I'm trying to put them in situations where they can be successful. In past years, we ran a lot of quick hitters, and I thought that's what we needed to do to be successful. We didn't have a lot of depth, but now that you have more depth, I think that in past years, I think we were easy to defend sometimes when all you do is quick hitters. I think great teams have to do 4 things good to be very successful. You got to defend, you got to rebound, you got to be able to score in a half-court set, and you got to be able to score in transition. And I think 3 out of those 4 things, we did a really good job, but we weren't great in transition. So I think now when teams have to prepare for us, and they know that our kids work hard, and they know that we run 1,000 quick hitters, but now all of a sudden, now they have to defend us because we may press. We're going to run, right? So now I think their preparation for us is going to be a little bit harder than in the past years. We never played zone in past years. We'll be playing more zone this year. So we're going to be doing a lot of different things. So maybe you have to spend a little more time on our program than maybe your program. Whereas we're going to, of course, continue to do scouting reports, but we feel like this is what we're going to do, and we feel like we can be very successful with the pressing, with the running, and still run quick hitters. But I had the confidence when you and I met because as you know, Bill, I'm a very honest person. And if we're not doing well, I'm going to be honest and say I'm not happy with my team. But at that point, I couldn't be more prouder of my team. We demanded a lot of them, and they gave us everything that they had. And that's all you expect from a coach. You're not going to play a perfect game. You're not going to make every shot. But all you can do is expect effort. And if the kids give us effort, then I think we're going to have a great year this year.
Jasmine, your 4th year in the program, what do you think the biggest areas of growth in your game have been from when you came here as a freshman to your senior year? And I guess what are some of the team goals that coaches talked with you guys about going into this season?
Well, I would say a big change for me is that I've actually gone to the system. My junior year, I did better. I feel like this year, during the summer, I've gotten the best at it. If you listen to what the coaches say and you do it right, it'll all work out. If it's wrong, it'll be on them. Coach Kest tells us that all the time. And as we're seeing, if you do what she says, you'll be all right. So I feel like just actually buying into the system, doing right things right, it'll get you where you need to be.
When Jasmine was a freshman, she couldn't even complete the workouts. There was a time where I told her I was going to put her back on a bus and send her back home.
That's a true story. True story.
and she had company too, and we won't say who her company was. They could not complete our workouts. Gave up. Stopped doing it. And really, to be honest, at the time, I wanted to send her back home. But to be honest, we really didn't have a choice. Didn't have a lot of players. And sophomore year, she got a little bit better. Came in a little bit better shape. And this year, she's coming in the best shape. She stayed the whole summer. The whole summer. Jasmine's never done that. She stayed up the whole summer, as well as a couple other players, and wanted to work on her game, as well as obviously our kids taking classes over the summer. So she has bought in the system. But at the same time, I think I have been flexible too, and I'm understanding, like, Jasmine is a phenomenal player. She's a great athlete, and I have to put her in situations where she's going to be successful. And I know, again, as long as Jasmine is giving me effort, I don't get as upset as Jasmine as I used to when she's trying really hard and she makes sometimes these crazy passes that are being caught in the bleachers where you just look at her and go, like, what are you thinking? She only makes 1 or 2 of those per practice now instead of 10 or 20. So, but when I sit here honestly, and I'm up here listening to these 3 young ladies speak, I'm just so happy for them because they could have never done this 3 years ago. For them to come up here and speak in front of you and speak very well and speak from their hearts, I'm very proud of them because they have grown so much, especially Jasmine and Natasha, as well as our other seniors, Denver and Taisha. I just feel like the growth of them, not just as a basketball player, but as people, they are ready, to go out and be very successful in the business world and whatever they choose. Jasmine told me that she's thinking maybe about being a coach. That's funny. Because again, you haven't been with Jasmine for 3 years. But I just feel proud of these young ladies. They have grown so much, and they have made me a better person, and I have learned a lot about them. And I've adjusted my coaching style and given them a little bit more freedom because I know that they're trying, and I know that they care, and I know the effort is there. So it makes it really nice when you're a coach, when you like your team. And as coaches, sometimes, to be honest, some years you don't really like your team because they're not working hard for you. They don't buy into the system. They're just, not that special, to be honest. This is a special team. And I've had a couple years where I've had the same feeling that I've had with this team. And in those years, we did some amazing things that nobody thought we can do. And I feel that is the same with this group, that there can be some amazing things that happen. And I think we put ourselves in a position where we're going to play some great teams that hopefully, we can get our RPI up and hopefully do very well in conference games as well as the tournament. So I'm very proud of these young ladies because they make my job right now really easy because I don't have to police this team. They can police them for me.